I am the Lonely Necron, and welcome to my basement. So, a couple days ago, I finally finished assembling all of my Thousand Sons. So, I have a complete army at this point. It's just mostly not painted. So, yeah, I'm gonna put them up against the orcs and see who comes out the winner. This will be an interesting game because there's 6 psychers on the Thousand Sons side, and both factions are going to be using a lot of transports because, yeah, transports. Orcs shouldn't always be running places. This is my Wall of Martyrs. I got it out of a Kill Team box a couple years ago. One of them's mostly painted, the other one's kind of painted. I got them right around the time that I got into Night Lords, and then started buying a whole lot more Night Lords, and these things just kind of fell on the wayside. They're kind of the bedrock of my pile of shame, so hopefully I'll finish them off here by the end of the year. It'd be nice to do a decent dent in the pile of shame by the end of the year. So the Rebel Strewn battle top here will be our battleground today. Deployment zones are 4 corners. Should be a good time for our dudes. That being said, we should probably meet our little dudes. Alright, so we've got this for our orc warband thingy, led by the war boss in mega armor. We also have a weird boy. He only knows smite. He's really here just to hopefully deny something, because I'm curious about... There's going to be a lot of psychic stuff coming their way, so I'm super curious. There's also going to be a beast boss. 10 really excited Gretchen. 2 groups of 10 boys, one with a rocket launcher and one with a big shooter. 10 beast boys with a krumpa. 10 commandos with a burner, a rocket launcher, a breacher, a big shooter, and then everybody else has the chop up and slugger. We've got a mech gun, the bubble chucker kind, the Def Killer Wartrike, 3 Def Copters, and a Def Dread with 2 Dread Claws and 2 Scorches. So these things we're going to proxy in as trucks. Each one has they're labeled 1 to 3. So the Beast Boss and the Beast Boys will be in one. The Weird Boy and an unlucky squad of boys will be in one. And then the War Boss and the other squad of boys will be in the last one. The Depcopters will also be flying around overhead, waiting to jump in at the opportune moment. Knowing orcs, they probably won't be there very long. So yeah, that's what we got for the orcs today. Alright, so this is what I got for Thousand Sons. It's not a lot, but I don't know, we'll see how it goes. So we have 3 Exalted Sorcerers, 1 on the disc, 1 on the smoke, whatever that is, and then 1 on his own 2 feet. So the one on the disc knows Prescience and Weaver of Fates. The regular one also knows Weaver of Fates and Diabolic Strength. And then the one that's floating around on the smoke knows Warp Time and Glamour of Tzeentch. So for non-psychers, we got 3 10-man groups of Zangors. The first group of 10 here has the Zangor Blades. These guys, 9 of them have the auto pistol and chainsword, and 1 of them has a Zangor Blade. And these guys, they all have the auto pistol and chainsword. So we got a group of 10 of Rubric Marines. So the sorcerer for these guys knows Tzeentch's Firestorm. There's 10 of them, so there's a guy with a Soul Reaper cannon, and then the other 8 4 of them have warp flamers, and the other 4 have the Inferno bolter, I think is what it is. And then 2 groups of 5 Scarab Occult Terminators. One group has the Soul Reaper Cannon, the other one has the Heavy Warp Flamer. Both groups have Hellfire missile racks, and both of the sorcerers know Doom Bolt. I got that one right. I got all these note cards written down over here to remember because there's just so many of them and so much stuff. We also have 2 rhinos. This one's actually a 1,000 Suns rhino. I just gotta get it painted up. And we're gonna pretend that this one's actually 1,000 Suns also. The Rubric Marines are gonna be riding around in this one. And then the 2 Exalted Sorcerers that are not on a disc will have this other rhino to themselves. The Scarab Occult Terminators are going to be floating around in their teleportarium thing, so yeah, I'm super excited. I've never played as these guys. I've never played against these guys. I've seen a lot of games on YouTube of them. Yeah, super excited. So I'm going to roll for deployment. I'll set up the stuff, and then we're going to do this awesome thing. Alright, so the 1,000 Suns won the deployment rolls, so they chose this corner, putting the orcs into this corner. So for the 1,000 Suns, we've got all of the blobs of Zangors surrounding the Exalted Sorcerer on the disc, and then the 2 rhinos. For the orcs, they got these commandos who are very bravely showing their faces here in the middle of the board. Then the 3 proxy trucks kind of in the corner there, with the Depth Dread on the other side. The Met Gun and the Wartrike next to each other here. Then the Grots are just squeezed into that area there. The orcs failed to steal, so that'll make it the 1,000 Suns' turn for round 1. So, movement. Alright, so all 3 Zangar units advanced out of the corner here. The 2 rhinos just moved. So these guys are following the rhino with the 2 Exalted Sorcerers in it. And then these 2 blobs and the Disc Sorcerer are following behind the rhino with the rubrics in it. Don't really feel the need to bring in the Terminators just yet, so he's the only one that can cast any spells at the moment, and there's really no point to doing that, so we'll just go to the shooting phase then. So the rhinos with their Havoc launchers were the only ones that were able to shoot. They both missed their targets. It was kind of sad. There's nobody close enough to charge, so it goes over to the orc turn. So, orc movement. Alright, so that was kind of an orc explosion, really. The Met Gun never moves. Everybody else advanced. Okay, the commandos didn't move, but everybody else advanced and got pretty far. The truck with the Beast Boss and Beast Boys got super distant. The Death Cloud Wartrike made it really close to this rhino over here. The Gretchen made it almost up to the halfway point here. This is the truck with the War Boss in it. The Death Dread didn't get very far, but no. These guys just move real slow. And then the Weird Boy and the boys going on that side. No need to do anything psychic-wise, so shooting for these guys. So the Commandos and the Met Gun are the only units that could shoot here, and they shot, and they're orcs, so they did not even hit. That's a short side, because it's only the first round. There's nobody close enough to charge for the orcs either, so we'll go to round 2. movement for the Thousand Suns. Alright, so the Rhino, the Exalted Sorcerer on the disc, and the front group of Zangoras all just moved forward. These guys advanced to kind of sort of catch up. The Rhino over here just moved up to get closer to the Wartrike, and the Zangoras also advanced to catch up. Decided still not to bring anything in yet this turn. Probably next turn. Probably a lot of death and destruction going on next turn. I guess we'll see how it goes. Alright, so for the Psychic phase, this Exalted Sorcerer is going to try and manifest the Weaver of Fate on the Rhino. Goes up on a 6. Does not get it on a 4. Alright. Sad phase. So that'll make it the Shooting phase. Okay, so the Rhino did a point of damage to the truck. And this Rhino did a point of damage to the Death Killer Wartrike. Not a whole lot of awesomeness there. Charge phase, though. These Zangoras in the front, the Zangor Blades only grouping, is going to charge into these commandos. We'll see how that works out for them. Alright, well, they didn't make their distance, but the orks didn't hit anything in Overwatch either, so... yeah, I was in... I don't know. Rolling low on charges always sucks. That'll make it the orc turn, though. Movement. Everything that I could find about orcs online, for the most part, in the fandom areas, said that purple was like the sneaky color. And because I had noticed I couldn't find any purple orcs anywhere, because I was looking for purple inspiration. So I feel like I've done some pretty sneaky things here in the last couple minutes with the orc movement. I hope they're deserving of the purple color. The commandos just kind of shifted a little bit. Rocket launcher guy got up on the top here, and we just kind of moved the guys around to maintain coherency. So the war boss and the boys that were in his little truck all hopped out of the truck, and the truck trundled over here, blocking off these Zangors. Grots kind of advanced way up so that they could get shot first. Death Dread just advanced up to here. The truck with the weird boy in it moved over here with this happy dude. So over here, the Wartrike kind of moved around a whole lot so that it could kind of go against these guys from the side, letting the truck with the Beast Boss and Beast Boys in it start heading up towards this Rhino here. The Depcopters have come in at the backside of the Zangors over here. Someday the mech gun will have to move, but that day is not right now. So we'll do a decent amount of orc shooting. Okay, it'll be a whole lot of orc shooting. I'm not entirely sure what brought that on, but that was probably the best shooting phase I've ever had with these orcs. Ever. Oh man, so the Depcopters here just mangled these Zangors here and killed 6 of them off. The Death Killer Wartrike killed 4 of these guys. So between the commandos, the war boss, and the guys in the regular boy squad that's behind him, between a group of them, they actually wiped out that entire group of 10 Zangors. And then the Depth Dread and the mech gun did 8 points of damage to this poor Rhino. There was just a lot of really good shooting rolls on the part of the orcs for once. It was super cray. That'll take us to the charge phase. The Wartrike is definitely going to charge into the Zangors here. The Grots, I guess, are going to multi-charge into the Rhino and the dude on the disc, the Exalted Sorcerer. And yeah, that should do it. So everybody made their charges. These guys, the Wartrike killed 4 of the Zangors. They did a point of damage to him. The Gretchen didn't do anything at all, and then the Exalted Sorcerer killed 3 of them, and the Rhino actually killed 1 more. That was some craziness. That whole turn was craziness. Okay, yeah, I think that makes it, round 3 for the Thousand Suns. Back to movement. Alright, so the 2 Exalted Sorcerers have hopped out of this Rhino. The Rhino just stayed in place. The Rubrics all hopped out of this Rhino. The Rhino kind of moved over there. He's just going to stay in combat. Okay, so this group, Scarab Occult Terminators, came down here. The other group came in on this corner. And that'll take us to the Psychic phase. Alright, so the Psychic phase. This is going to be the long phase, really. So the aspiring champion of these Rubric Marines is going to do Tzeentch's Firestorm, hopefully on these Gretchen. Goes off on a 7. Yeah, goes off on a 7. That's unfortunately a 6. That doesn't happen. Alright, so the Scarab Occult Sorcerers know Doombolt. So this one's going to try and manifest it on the mech gun here. Goes off on a 9. That's not a 9. That's definitely not a 9. This one will try and manifest it on this Wartrike. That's also not the number it needs. The one on the disc, gonna try and do prescience on the rubrics here. That goes off on a 7. Damn, that's only a 5. Having some really bad luck on their rolls here. So that leaves the regular sorcerer and the green smoke exalted sorcerer. These 2 guys. Alright. So the green smoke, this guy is going to try and do the Glamour of Tzeentch on the Zangors. That goes off on a 7. Oh my god. That's a 5. So the other one is going to try and do Diabolic. No, he can't. No, he totally can't. This one is going to try and do Diabolic Strength on this one. This goes off on a 6. One finally worked. Yay. So the other guy is +2 to strength and +1 attacks until the next psychic phase. So this guy. Yay. If only some of those others had maybe worked, that might have been better. But, you know. D6s, they roll how they want. After that awesome psychic phase, we're going to do the Thousand Suns shooting phase. So these Terminators did a point of damage to the Depcopters. These Terminators did 4 points of damage to the mech gun. That's pretty much all that happened. Oh no, no. The Rubrics killed 4 of the boys. They're over here hanging out by the war boss. I don't know how I forgot that. Weird. The charge phase. So this one on the green here, the one that got the diabolic strength, he's gonna charge into the warp trike, the death killer warp trike. These guys are already in combat with it. These guys are just gonna do their combat. So you don't entirely feel the need to charge the rubrics in there. They're more of a shooty thing anyway. Yeah, it looks to be about all that can be done here. So charge and fight phase. So the exalted sorcerer here very easily made his charge, and with the help of diabolic strength, did a lot of damage and chilled off the war trike, which did me a favor and did not explode. Yeah, it was super crazy. This exalted sorcerer killed 3 of the Gretchen. So, yay. Yeah, that was a productive turn, I think. That'll make it the orc turn, though. A whole lot of those guys are close by, and pretty sure these beast boys are about to hop out and do some stuff. Movement. Things are going to be really, really hectic this turn, I think. So the Deathcopters have moved over here in advance of or in preparation for a charge into these guys. This truck disgorged all of its Beast Boys and the Beast Boss before it moved over here to maybe run these guys over. This truck has come over to probably run these guys over. Commandos are going to chill on this hill thing. The Mech Gun's going to hang out back there. The Warboss and the boys behind him have moved up towards the Rubrics and the Exalted Sorcerer. The Death Dread has moved up as well. So the other group of boys and the Weird Boy have hopped out over here. And the truck has moved over here to kind of block off any escape. I forgot to put the Weird Boy down. I'll do that in a second. He's not going to do a psychic thing either, so we'll just do orc shooting. Alright, that was pretty successful actually. So the Mech Gun destroyed the Rhino that was over here. The Commandos managed to kill off 2 of these Zangors. And between the Warboss, the boys, and the Death Dread, they killed off 4 of the Rubric Marines. That was kind of weird. So for the charge phase, a whole lot of charges going on here. So the Deathcopters are going to charge into these Terminators. This truck is going to charge into these Zangors. This truck, I guess, is going to multi-charge into the Exalted Sorcerer and these Zangors. The Beast Boss and the Beast Boys charging into the Rhino. And then this mess. So the Warboss will charge into the Exalted Sorcerer, the Death Dread into the Rubrics. And if there's space and they can make it, these boys are also going to try and charge into the Rubrics. So yeah, we'll see what the landscape looks like here in a couple of minutes. It'll be like 20 minutes for me, but a couple of seconds for you guys. Alright, it didn't actually take 20 minutes, it took like 12. And those were 12 very tense moments. Everybody made their charges. Everybody over here died. The Death Dread most definitely killed off most of the Rubrics, and then the boys did the rest. And then the Warboss just by himself killed off the Exalted Sorcerer. The Beast Boys had a field day. It was super ridiculous. That thing was dead like twice over. That was a medium size. The Deathcopters killed one of the Terminators, surprisingly. They did kill one of the Deathcopters. The truck killed a Zangor. They didn't do anything back. And this truck also killed a Zangor. And it didn't do anything back to them, so. Alright. The landscape is indeed very different now. Not a whole lot of Thousand Suns left. They're kind of in a tough spot. They're probably going to die. It is their turn, so we'll see what they do for movement. Alright, so we're not actually going to do any movement for the Thousand Suns, I guess. Everyone's just going to stay where they are. So for the Psychic phase then, this Scarab Occult Sorcerer is going to try and get Doombolt onto these Depth Coptives. Goes up on a 9. That's a 7. So that one's going to try and do Doombolt. This guy. That's an 11. It actually went off. I'm amazed. Alright, so it does D3 wounds. Makes it so it can't advance. Oh, that's 2 damage. It actually dies. Let's gently remove this guy. So the one on the green sorcerer on the left there is gonna do Glamour of Tzeentch. Gonna try and do it on this sorcerer. Goes off on a 7. Does not get it on a 6. So this one is gonna try and do Diabolic Strength again on this one over here. Goes up on a 6. Man. Does not get it with a 5. All of my hopes and dreams for these guys and their psychic abilities, and then the chaos dice just refuse to cooperate. Sounds kind of normal, actually. Yeah, regular day. Well, at least somebody's stuff went off, and the mech gun was killed, so since that thing did a decent amount of damage this game, that's a good loss for them, for me. Yeah, shooting phase. Yeah, I guess a couple people can shoot. Alright, well, the 2 guys with pistols, the Exalted Sorcerers, they tried to shoot, but they just didn't hit anything at all. So yeah, that'll take us to the charge phase, which is really just this Exalted Sorcerer multi-charging into the Beast Boss and the Beast Boys. Plus everybody who's already in combat, these guys in the trucks, these guys in the Depth Coptives. Alright, so it was like a noble sacrifice kind of thing on this guy's part. He made his charge, he killed one boy, and the Beast Boss just murdered him. The Depth Coptives killed off another Terminator. They took a couple points of damage on one of the Depth Coptives, but it did not die. The Zangor didn't do anything to the truck, but the truck just ran over the Zangor. Same thing happened over here. I don't know what this guy's gonna do. He's probably gonna die horribly, but yeah, things are looking even more bleak for the Thousand Suns. Now it's the Orc turn. Movement. Alright, so now we got a mass purple migration. Most everybody on this side is advancing over towards these Terminators over here. The boys, the Weird Boy, the Death Dread, the War Boss, and the Grots all advanced over towards those guys. These boys are just heading over this way. Maybe get towards these Termies, I don't know. The Beast Boss and the Beast Boys have all started heading this way. Probably to help take out this guy. Probably for the Terminators. Commandos are just going to hang out. No need for the Weird Boy to do anything. I really only brought the Weird Boy because I was hoping maybe he could deny some stuff, but it's not like the Thousand Suns were able to get anything off anyway, so. Yeah, that's everybody moved. That's his psychic phase, which will not happen. So, Orc shooting. I do love this phase. So the Beast Snagger boys with their sluggers did a couple points of damage to this Exalted Sorcerer. So the charge phase. So the Beast boss is going to charge into these Terminators, and the Beast Snagger boys are going to charge into the Exalted Sorcerer. And then the regular combat of the Truck and the Sorcerer, and the Death Captives and the Terminators. This should be a good time. Hopefully, maybe. We'll see. That was ridiculous. So these guys made their charges. The Beast Boys very obviously killed off the Sorcerer. The Beast Boss, yeah, those guys died also. The Death Copter definitely helped. Alright, so that's the end of the Orc turn, which leaves it the Thousand Suns turn, which is just these guys. So to hasten their death, I'm just going to have them, come out here and engage in combat with these guys after some fun things. So I'll go ahead and move them out. Alright, so we've moved them as far as they can, as close as they can to these guys. So for their Psychic phase, so these guys know Doom Bolt goes up in a 9. These two dice, that's not a 9. Alright, well then the shooting phase, they're definitely going to try and shoot the crap out of these boys. Okay, so they managed to kill off 4 of the boys with their guns. Let's see how many they can kill by charging into them. Alright, they actually somehow made the charge. They killed 3 boys and lost 1 Terminator. That wasn't bad. That does make it the Orc turn. So, movement. Alright, so the Death Dread, the War Boss, the few remaining Grots, and the remaining boards here are all moving towards the Terminators. No Psychic phase. Shooting phase. Yeah, those guys got sluggers, so. I knew that Orc shooting was too good to be true. It couldn't last forever. Yeah, these guys didn't hit anything. And they tried, but they didn't. So the charge phase. So the Death Dread is going to try and insert itself into that grouping, as is the Weird Boy. So I was talking smack right there about the Orc shooting dice, and they decided to come back and prove me incorrect on the combat. So the Weird Boy and the Death Dread actually made it in. And then the Death Dread just went ahead and killed off 3 of the Terminators. And then the boys and the Weird Boy killed off the last one. So that means that the Orcs win. This is probably the best game I've ever played with the Orcs. That's kind of crazy. And I'll totally say that if a bunch of those Psyker spells had gone off for the Thousand Suns, this probably would have been a different game. But I don't know. I will say that I'm definitely going to need more Rubric Marines and less Zangors. And probably some Demon Engines. I mean, in the future, I should probably definitely spend some money on the Thousand Suns, because I had a lot of fun doing that. Yeah, they kind of died, but it was still a greatly enjoyable experience. And it's been a while since I played with the Orcs, and I really do like playing with the Orcs. And it was kind of fun to do some sneaky kind of stuff here, so that was enjoyable as well. So yeah, this was my first Thousand Suns game, 9th edition. Yeah. Well, okay. So I have an 8th edition Thousand Suns Codex. So basically a 9th edition game, but an 8th edition Codex. So however that crosses over. Yeah. If you made it this far into the video, I do appreciate it. Like I said, this was a good game. Definitely gonna have to be a little bit more careful with the Zangors in the future. Be interesting to see these guys up against the Eldar. That may be a future close game. But yeah, thanks for watching and have a wonderful day.